right. Well, we are here. It is 5:30 Central, 3:30 Pacific. We are on Pacific time, of course. So you can see in the background, we are in sunny Las Vegas, and we have former IFBB professional bodybuilder Troy Moore. And Troy is someone who is very special and near and dear to our hearts, as he got a chance to work with Bob Johnson, and they've known each other for 30 plus years. And we're going to dig in with some of the goodies, as I don't think all of you guys really know his story, but we're also going to share a little bit about what he made. And for those of you who are competitors or not competitors, what you're going to realize is he made something very turnkey to really improve yourself and to hold yourself accountable instead of a coach. And we'll finish up with that in the interview. But first of all, Troy, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
No, we appreciate you being here. And, this is the first time we've done something live one-on-one. We did do a little sample with my daughter last week. But what was interesting about this week is we now have somebody who really has something that's a really truly incredible story. But you'll get a chance to hear a little bit about his journey. So, Troy, I know you are originally from where?
Long Island, Levittown, Long Island, New York.
So when did you officially move to Las Vegas?
2003.
Okay, so you moved 2003. It sounds like you spent most of your bodybuilding career in New York.
Yes, Long Island, New York. Yep.
You were a wrestler before.
Yeah, all through high school, college, and my college career came to an ending after an accident.
So what happened in your accident? You were wrestling and then you got into bodybuilding, but you had, I think what I understand, a near-death accident in 1983.
Correct.
So can you tell us a little bit about that? What happened?
All right. So, I think I was getting ready for the Empire State Games, which they have in Syracuse, and it was that weekend. And I was at late night. I was in a movie. I was sucking weight. And I asked my girlfriend at the time, would you like to go to movies with me? And I kind of like pressured her, yeah, I'll go with you to movies. And we left the movies around 12:30, and we were making a left-hand turn. A car ran the red light, drunk driver. My car flipped over a couple of times and hit a telephone pole. I got ejected and she got decapitated.
So you lost somebody near and dear to you.
Yeah.
How long were you in the hospital for? What were some of the extent of the injuries?
Okay, so my accident date was June 27th. I didn't get home until late October.
You were in the hospital the whole time?
Yeah.
So it sounds like
they read me my rights and everything.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you had you talked about head injuries, neck injuries, internal bleeding.
I got 4 pins in my neck. Actually, it was plastic screws. I wore a halo. I broke my collarbone, my wrist, my ankle, broke my jaw in 4 places. My jaw was wired. I cracked my orbital socket and broke my nose.
And you wore a halo?
Yeah.
So what was the halo like? Because you had screws in your head, and was that just decompressing
it's
your
not
neck?
Fun sleeping on a recliner for 4.5 months.
You had that on for 4.5 months.
Correct.
So what was your inspiration to get into bodybuilding and, just really building your body back at that time?
Well, I got out of the hospital. I was about 12 pounds, maybe even lighter, maybe 109. And my mom, built a pool in my backyard just for me to rehab. And we had a hot tub in my backyard, with a gazebo. And this is in Levittown, to nurse me back to health while I was getting healthy. So I had rehabilitation and just rural rehab and stuff. I met a lot of people along the line, and they said, look, you have, unbelievable shape. And somebody said, do you ever think about being a bodybuilder? And I was like, yes and no. And I had photos of Danny Padilla. I had Frank Zane, Franco Colombo, because we're, most of us guys, those guys are short. Mm-hmm. And I looked up to those guys, and it just hit me one day. And I said, when I get healthy, I want to be one of these guys.
So you took off then. You became a pro what year?
2003, but it was a struggle. You know what I mean? Like, if we back up a little bit, I competed. My first show was 1988.
Mhm.
I did national shows and probably up until 92. Then I went back to local shows because I wasn't happy placing like fourth, fifth, and sixth. So I felt that I had to retool myself, and I think 95. I kind of like was favored to probably win the nationals as a lightweight, and that's when I ended up tearing my bicep.
So you tore it off the bone.
Correct.
Did I hear that correctly?
Roll all the way up.
You started as a bantamweight. You moved up to lightweight. You come in. Everybody knows who you are at this point.
Yeah.
You're ready to go. You're ready for the title. And you hear a snap or a pop, and all of a sudden it just rolled up.
Yeah, rolled all the way up. And I just jumped and said, oh my God, and that was it. I was done. And then, I went to a doctor and he says totally torn her off, and I can fix it, and, you're in back in those days, a sling, and that's it. And they stitch you up and tie it up, and that's it,
So how long did that take?
So I kind of rushed it back, and 3.5 months later, 4 months later, no pain, but you're young and you're cocky. So I was bowling with my friend Jerry in our league, and I went cross alley 10 pin, and it tore off again. Same year.
So you didn't tear it once, you tore it off twice.
Yeah, twice. Tore my right arm twice.
So was the doctor happy to see you?
He's like, he looked at me, you're back, and special sports surgery in New York City. That's where I went.
Got it.
And the rehab, then he says, you'll never be able to compete again. You'll never be able to train again. So I looked at him. He looked at me. He goes, no joke, Ross. You're not going to have no rotation. You're not going to be able to use that arm. So I kind of like looked at him and I laughed, but it's not a joke. I was 30 years old at the time. And I said, okay. And then I walked away from the sport for a while. And then I went back to get my college degree. I think I had 2 more years left, and I went to FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
I got my design degree, and then at the time I was dating somebody, and she just told me flat out, nobody wants to go out with a broke ass dead bodybuilder. You know what I mean? And because bodybuilders, they scrounge. A lot of them don't work. They don't have a full-time job. They kind of like eat, go to the gym, and sleep. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't made that way. I felt that I had to make a living and work full time and stuff like that. So I walked away.
How long was that stint?
Probably about 4.5 years.
So what brought you back after 4.5 years?
I went to the Nationals in 99. And I walked in the building, and everybody's like, where the hell you been? Oh my God, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you such a long time. And then I sat there with a couple of friends, and they came away, hey, how you doing? Whatever, how you feeling and everything. And they were like, and I was just a normal guy. I looked the normal guy, and people say, man, you were really good at one time, and you look great, but, I don't think you could beat any of these guys up here. And I heard it 3-4 times throughout the night. And right then and there, I was driven. I had to drive. I was like, you don't know me. And my doctor said I could never come back. And I said, yeah, he's wrong. And it took me about, I would say, a little over a year. And I mapped it out from the very beginning, like what the shows are going to be like, a year from now. I just went back and circled everything on the calendar. And I said, I'm doing this show, this show, this show. So the first year I came back, I did 5 shows. I won every single one. And I won the overall. So not as a lightweight, I went, or a welterweight, there was none. So I went as a middleweight, and I won the class, and I won the overall. Back to back to back to back. And so I beat all the light heavyweights, and super heavyweights.
So we'll hit the pause button for a second, because a lot of you guys don't know this. Bodybuilders did not have the coaches that they have currently now. And I think that's a big misconception as far as, who was your coach? Who did you train with? Well, they trained with each other. And Troy was his own coach. And keep in mind, we probably talked for 3 hours the other day about this story, and I found it really intriguing that not a lot of people, number one, can coach themselves, but number two is Troy was really well known for his conditioning. He was dry, he was lean, and his legs, he was very proportionate and very balanced and very symmetrical, but he was really known for his legs. And when he turned around, it was game over. And a lot of people say you win shows from the back.
It's absolutely true.
I happened to see a picture of the glutes, and they were absolutely diced and shredded. I've never seen anything like that. And so I don't want you to underestimate the power of really what Troy is saying and what he's created, because we're going to share with you a little bit about what he created here in a while. And I think you guys might benefit from it tremendously. But, going to earn your pro card, you earned pro status in 2003.
Yeah.
You got to compete as a pro. When did you know that you were done with the stage?
Well, I waited another year. So 2004, I didn't do anything. And I just felt like, you have to grow into your own, and you need the time, you need the rest. Because I was beat up already. I was late 30s already. So I was like, from 2001 to 2003, I think I did like maybe 15 shows, something like that. And I waited a little while, and then, I did two, pro shows. And I, at the time, I was training with Lee, Lee lived out here, Priest, about 2005, 2006, up until then. We trained a lot together. I think my body weight got up to like 228, almost 230, and supplement free, just my basic supplements. We trained heavy, we trained hard all the time. So, we did drop sets, supersets, giant sets. I don't know if you guys know what that is today, but that's how we trained, trained heavy or go home. I think I weighed in at my first show. My pro show was 192, and it's an open class back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no 202 classes and nothing like that. So you compete with guys like close to 300 pounds. I did two shows, and I woke up one morning and I said, you know what? I can't do this no more. I'm done. My body can't take it anymore.
You knew it.
Oh yeah. You just, as any athlete out there, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, hockey, whatever it is, you get to that point in your life and you're done. And, you just say, my body can't take it anymore. But, when that happens, most guys or athletes, they're like, oh my God, it's over. Like, it went so fast, and they have nothing later on, to do, So, you just sit back and, you can't believe like all those years went by, 30 years went by, and, and you're in real good condition, like looking, but physically, you feel like you're a 78-year-old man, and that's what happens.
You have a history of competing here. I think if I read this correctly, you have competed in 43 shows.
Yeah.
43 shows. Let's get off the cuff here, because we always do a little bit of prep. And most of you who are in the sport right now, a lot of you probably have competed in less than 10 shows. I would be willing to venture that would be a guess. Who were some of your favorite training partners? Because everybody, the who's who in the industry.
Yeah, I know. I pretty much know them all.
Flex Wheeler, you train with these guys.
All those guys. So I trained at Bev Francis. It was Gold's Gym back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's Powerhouse, as you guys know. Steve has an incredible gym. 5 of everything. I did the California thing too. I lived in California for 2-3 years, and I just realized West Coast wasn't for me. And I went back to my roots, and I went back to Steve's gym, after back there. And I always felt like, it was home. I knew everybody. I could walk in the gym by myself. I'd be down and out or tired from work, and somebody'd be sitting there. Hey, what are you training today? And I'd say, I'm doing legs. Oh yeah, let's do legs. It was like that. It's like, I didn't have a set training partner. I could grab somebody who was coming at the gym the same time as me. What are you training? And I would alter days like, oh, I'm training chest and back, or I'm training chest and buys. And I would say, okay, whatever you want to train, I'll train with you. Or I'll do a split with you and I'll do what I got to do on my own. But that's how it was. We had camaraderie. It could be guys training, we could be doing the same show, 20 weeks, training for half a year together. And we'd be right next to each other on stage. But that's cool because we both ended up there, and he helped me and I helped him.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be, you know? And it's not like that today. Yeah. And all of those guys that I compete with, I'm still friends with today.
So very little selfishness, very little vanity. It's just get to work, do your thing. We're not going to complain about it. We're going to push through when it hurts.
Correct. And we help each other and, with the posing and the routines and stuff like that. So I would sit down, like, to get your legs striated and glute striated and cross striated, I trained with Ronnie a couple of times. I even did walking lunges in the back of the gym with him a couple of times out in the parking lot in Steve's gym. And that's not allowed anymore, but that's what we did. And I used to sit down with him after we had shakes or anything at the front counter at Steve's gym. And I could say, hey, Ronnie, how did you get your biceps so striated and big? Well, Troy did it this way. Or I would say, Ronnie, your glutes are striated. Like, how did you do it? And he would say, well, this is how I train. But those were cool. You know what I mean? So, you take a little bits and pieces from each one of those big time pros and you make it your own, and that's how you absorb, stuff that works for you. Mm-hmm. Just because somebody tells you they train a certain way, it's not going to work for you, because you guys got totally complete different bodies,
right?
Anatomies too.
And you grow differently.
That's right. Some guys grow faster than others. Some guys, are gifted and they had freakiest genetics,
So I heard a story, little birdie told me, that you were very well known for absolutely just destroying legs. So let's just talk a little bit about, we don't have to talk about your routine, but I know that people said they would train legs with you, but didn't really quite make it all the way through.
So I'll tell you. So Gunther, big Gunther, trained. It was at our gym a couple of times. Like, they would come in from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday or something like that. And he said, Troy, what are you training? And I said, legs. Okay, let's go, little man. Let's go train legs. Now, remind me, Gunther's 300 pounds. Troy's 200 pounds. I told him I don't take off weights.
Yep.
And we get on a hack squat, and we put on 1 plate, 2 plate, 3 plate, 4 plate, 5 plate, 6 plate, 7 plate. We get up to 10 plates. So I would do 10 sets of hack squats. And the funny thing is, you get around that weight, I go all the way to floor, he go all the way to floor, but I'd probably get maybe 1 or 2 more reps than he would. But he would say, hey, Troy, you only got this far to go. I got this far to go.
In his German accent, or Austrian accent.
But those are the things that you laugh about in the gym while you're training with somebody, Yeah. Funny stories, you meet a lot of interesting people in the gym. They become your best friends, your life friends, or your training partner, and that's what makes you a bodybuilder through all those years. Blood, sweat, and tears in the gym, even injuries and stuff like that, but I can honestly say I know where I was a certain time and who I trained with, and not really many people can say that, because they beat off in their own little corner with the headphones on today and they're doing their own thing, but, I learned from the best from the late 80s and the 90s. There was plenty of guys who came in the gym. I'm going to tell you something. Ron Tufa, God rest his soul, was a good friend of mine, was a mentor. He was short like me. He was the first teenage Mr. America, and, I listened to him because, guy was a legend back in the day. So, guys today, they don't listen because you're older and you're out of shape, or they feel that they know a lot more than you do because their physiques look better than you do today. It's not about that. Those guys been there, done that, and they have a history, and, they can teach you a lot if you listen. And it's all about listening and technique today,
mm-hmm.
And I just feel bad for the new generation because, they kind of like overstepped that.
They're hard to find, especially as, bodybuilding back when you've got 20 or 30 on stage, in an open class. And now we're looking at 4 or 5 guys and maybe a class here or there. if we're lucky to make that class. So I think there's a lot of things that that Troy's gone through that have made us understand and realize that it's purely mindset, but more importantly, to pay attention to the things that matter. And yes, you were going to say.
Well, like you said, 30, 40, dude, I had 51 guys in my class when I won my class. And, to be the first guy called out and put in the middle, and you never leave. And you really, you look and go, oh my God, I really did my homework. I think I did it. You know what I mean? And then at the end of the night, after your posing routine's over and your hand's raised and you just beat 51 guys, I kid you not, I crawled on my knees and I kissed that stage floor and I said, I cannot believe I finally won. And, it's probably one of the two highlights of my life is that and being married to my wife, Gina.
Nice. Now, you've been married for how long?
24 years.
We're going to get to that. I do want to mention this and ask you this, because I think, especially for a newer generation, they'll do a couple shows and they might not like it because they might not place where they thought they should place. And did you win every show that you did?
Well, Jimmy Quinn, Big Jim Quinn, was my training partner. My first show helped me with my first show, helped me with my posing and stuff. Didn't have to pay him anything. We were friends. We used to go out. We used to do things together. And yes, I won my first show.
Did you win every show?
No, I did not.
So what did you learn from the ones that you weren't raising your hands in victory? Because I see so many guys, and I'm not saying it's like anybody in particular, but I hear a lot. As a promoter, I hear athletes and how the experience was for them, and they're caught up in the placings. And if they don't place well, they don't think they're good enough. So some, they give it up and they move on. Some, it makes them want to work harder.
Correct.
So what made you work harder when your hand wasn't raised?
Because I thought I did my best, but everybody thinks they did their best, but you got to give a little bit more. You know what I mean? So, the following year, okay, maybe I took second or maybe I took third, but I've never taken less than fifth ever. And, you look at the guys, you analyze them, even though you're friends with them, because you're friends with everybody at this time on stage. And, you got to come in maybe sharper. It depends on what the judges are looking for, because the criteria has changed here and there. Bigger, maybe the guy's bigger in the arms, or you're not totally symmetrical, or you're not deep enough. So, every show's different, and it's every time, you got better guys there. Guy looked better than I did that day. Guy was harder than I was that day. And that's what happens. Maybe I was off, I peaked later on at night, I was smooth during the day. I didn't fill out enough and I looked better at night, but that's my fault because I didn't time it right. So that's why I created that.
And this is going to be the next thing we're going to talk about. I do want to touch on one thing before we get into this. You trained with your friends, you trained with your competitors. And so I think a lot of guys these days, they're posting on social media, they're putting filters on themselves to make them look good, to try and intimidate their competition, or they go silent and they go dark and then they stay covered up. So what were you? Were you an open book and you're like, look, if somebody wants to bring it, let's bring it. This is what I'm showing. I'll train with all my friends and I'll get up on stage with them. We're still friends at the end, but they know exactly where I stand. You're a highly intelligent man. Were you scouting your competition to make sure
Never,
you had
I
the
didn't
edge?
care about anybody else.
So you focused on yourself. You never really cared.
I had it here from the 20 weeks I started out dieting, and I would always wear a hoodie, a sweatshirt. I don't care if it was 110 degrees. I'd have a long sleeve sweatshirt on.
Yep.
I'd have sweats on. I didn't want nobody knowing what I looked like, and that was me. Some guys do it differently. Today's guys take pictures of themselves, walking around, looking in the mirror, taking photos, putting it on Instagram.
Yep.
So that is not me. I wanted to give the surprise element where what I did. So for instance, and my friends will all tell you from back east, and I would come in, they'd all weigh in, I'd wait at the back of the line. And then when they say peel down, get on a scale, the only thing I needed to take off was my sweatpants.
Game over.
They would say, what the hell? And they would say, you might as well hand them the trophy right now because
Game over.
I can't beat that. And that was me doing my homework, and I knew I was ready. And and then you're in a pump up room and you're training and stuff like that. And slowly when they call in, like, lightweights are up next, middleweights, and then I'd peel off my top, and I'd be already pumping up.
Yeah.
And I have my glass of a little black brandy back there to pull out my vascularity.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would take a little salt package and I would down that right before I get on. Everybody has.
Yep.
I learned from the best, let me tell you. And then you get out there, and you're going through your poses, and you're like, people like, oh shit, and I would say, yeah, I did my homework. My tan was good. My posing was great. I'd start posing like 2.5, 3 weeks out.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't get my trunks until I was maybe a week out, because they fit nice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I don't know if more of you guys know that, like, I'm half black, I'm half white, yeah. So, I come from a
mixed family.
Mm-hmm. So I love R&B and hip hop and all that stuff. And I put the music on before I'd go out stage,
mm-hmm.
And I like Guy or Kelly or Keith Sweat, and they were, oh my God, it's a white guy coming out on stage. Oh my God, he can pose, They figured a guy like you was coming out in rock and roll or something like that. Yeah, something like that. And they were like, oh my God, I put the whole package together.
Your posing was on.
Always.
And I think that's what, if you got the complete package, you've done your homework, you know how to pose, you know how to train, you know your strengths in your body, you're posing to your strengths, and you know exactly what the judges are looking for. It just sounds like a recipe for success. So you mind if we touch on this for a second?
Go ahead, go right away. That's for you, by the way, anyhow.
This is what I found really interesting, because, I've gotten a chance to briefly hang out with Troy, and a lot of you have met him. He was one of our featured judges at the Royal Flush, which he will also be, definitely a presence helping us grow the western part of the United States. And we did get permission from Gina to borrow him for some LA shows, maybe a little San Francisco, possibly some Phoenix. But as we roll out 2021, I wanted to know more about Troy. So I came out a little early. I got here Monday, and we got a chance. They're very generous with their time. I got a chance to hang out with him and his wife for a few hours, and this is what came out. I haven't seen anything like this yet. It's called the Ultimate Planner, and it says your daily nutritional training supplemental manual. And one of the, and this is specifically by Troy Moore. And, he has it on Amazon, and I know he's re-upping that, but he also
can show him the back. That's before and after wrestling.
Oh, there you go. So
that's when I was 20 years old and when I was 40 years old.
I think we don't have a Transformation Tuesday, but we do have a Flex Friday. So if you see young Troy right here, this was his wrestling days at 100 pounds?
118 pounds.
I'm sorry, I shorted it by 18 pounds. So 118 pounds. And then as a pro, making sure that he grew the things that he needed to grow. And so for those of you who can't read that, he was 40 years old when he won nationals at 189 pounds. And, we started walking through this. And what I found really cool about this, I'll start here. This is personalized to like the T as far as exactly for you, all of your information, all of your before and after pictures as far as when it comes down to progress pics. And then we started walking through anatomy. We started walking through what a protein, carbohydrate, and fat, how that breaks down your micro and macronutrients. And then I was very impressed because, as coaches, a lot of times they do the work for you. Well, this is essentially coaching 101 if you're coaching yourself, and it is a science. So can you talk about what your inspiration was? Because I want to dig into a little bit more of this. Why did you make this?
So through all these shows, I started out, one of my friends, Tom Terwilliger, was a big time pro. Mm-hmm. He's done the Olympia plenty of times. And he said, you know what, whatever you take in, you should calculate. So, and I said, and I was like, and Tom's very knowledgeable, and he had the prettiest physique you can imagine. So I listened to him. So I started making from 20 weeks out, 16 weeks out, 14 weeks out, how I trained, what I trained. So that means how many sets, how many reps, and what body parts, and what up in the corner it would say like Monday of, because I start out on a Saturday or a Monday. This is what I weighed 20 weeks out from day one of my show.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm getting ready for my show in 20 weeks. So I'd start out at a certain weight, and there's the date. And then I wrote down the food categories, would say 8 or 9 meals a day. And I would say, calories, carbs, protein, fats, my sodium and all that stuff. So I kind of like did one page started at, training, and the other side with food. And then 20 weeks out, at the end of the show, and after carbing up or depleting or whatnot, uh, I would see how well I did at that show
Mhm.
and where I ended up at what weight. So where I started and where I finished and how I placed. And I would critique myself in the condition I was. You know, what could I be a little bit harder? Could I have been a little bit tighter? Could I, symmetry, what am I looking for? So I started with one book, and it ended up being 5 books, and then it ended up being 10 books. So before, if like say if I take second, I would
Mhm.
take all those books and I would open them up. What did I look like 4 weeks out? And I would compare 4 weeks out from all those books.
Yep.
And then I would analyze. Now I had my formula to see where I was. Did I lose too much weight? Was I big enough? Did I come down too far? And then that's how I worked it out with my calories, my food intake.
Yep.
Or did I do too much cardio, or should I cut back on my cardio? And that's what I did. So I figured it out on my own. It's a process.
This is what I got from what you just said. You treated it like a job. You documented it. You held yourself accountable.
Correct.
And you had something to review at the end of the show to say, hey, did I do it right or did I do it different?
Correct.
And what worked and what didn't.
Correct.
So you were constantly able to adjust. Now, one of the things that Troy did also is he actually put sample days as far as workouts, what he did when we had a really heavy leg day, or you want to do calves, shoulders. And then what you do is
my heavy quad day, I did 40 sets of quads.
40 sets of quad. And by the way, he broke up back in hams and just treated quads
by
separately.
itself. Yeah.
And if you ever see his quad sweep, I mean, literally when he walked, his legs were rubbing together because they were so massive. It's tough to walk. So, walking, a little bit more this way than this way. So, because you rub. So, yeah, those are my fingers. They don't really count for legs. Sorry. So, when I talk about really being detailed, and, for a lot of you guys who are just starting in this world, or for those of you guys who are always giving the excuse that you want to be healthier, I'm going to tell you right now, it is a formula, and it's either excuses or you're going to track it and do it. That's all there is to it. You're going to slip. You're not going to win every day, but the fact is you've got to commit to it. And I think that's one of the things as I'm looking through this, I'm just going to give you an idea. It's literally day by day by day, and it can walk you through in a year. For those of you who really wanted to make a difference, this is what Troy did that I was like, you've got to be kidding me, dude. You did not do this.
Show him the back what I did with the food.
I'm about to get to it if I can find it. So he decided one day, and he's probably spent many days on doing this.
And I designed the book and I wrote it and put it out myself. So yeah.
Yes, I'm kind of fangirling on this deal, but he literally wrote down every single thing that you could think of that you put into your body. He measured it, and then he counted every calorie, whether it was a protein, a carb, or a fat. And if you look at it, you're literally seeing pages upon pages. You see condiments, you see carbs, you see proteins, you see fats, you see the protein and fat ratio, you see everything that you need to know. So all you have to do is plug in your calories once you figure out your macros. And this was, by the way, well before macros ever became popular.
Correct.
This was essentially the macros before everybody knew it.
Well, you got to put in the time, the effort, and the work to be number one.
Yep.
And that's what it comes down to.
Yep. And you can't control what others do.
No.
You just chose a different route where you just wanted to make sure that you nailed it.
Well, I believed, and I see some of these coaches today. Okay, so you're online, you have an online coach. The lighting might be a little bit off. He's calling you up, he's adjusting your diets, but I'd rather have somebody in front of me looking at me personally and making the adjustments. But that guy's not going to always be there when you consume the food, because you could tell him one thing and you're doing totally something else.
Yep.
And you'll ask my wife, I never cheated on my diet ever.
So let's get to that. Not cheating on your diet, but you've been with your wife for 26 years. Very rare in this industry.
24.
Sorry, 24. Man, I blew that. So tell us what, really some of the things that really got you through your preps, because, being married and going through prep is a whole nother world, and it's a whole nother life.
Woo.
So how has she been your rock and your support through this?
Well, actually, she really wasn't a trainer. I mean, she never went to the gym really, She became who I am today. I mean, like how I was, that's how she is today, because of who I was, back then. She rides a bike 8 to 10 miles on a weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 20 miles, runs a mile every morning with my dog. If that's not the case, she's on the treadmill or something in the house doing something, until COVID-19 happened. She was in the gym every single day, and I kind of like didn't push it on her, but I kind of like, she knew what type of person I was. And as we got older, she knew we had to make some changes on her own. You know what I mean? And I'm very proud of her. You know what I mean? And she's in a lot better shape than I am right now.
Well, in all fairness, you did have a complete shoulder replacement.
Yeah.
So you're still getting your range of motion back and been in physical therapy and really just, able to do that. And, one of the things that you mentioned is you really want to get back into a routine. Let's talk about life after the stage. Bodybuilding was not your end all be all. You had a plan B. You plan to run a business. You've done something afterwards. Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing now?
So I was always a car guy, growing up. My grandpa, my dad passed away really young, so my grandpa was like my father.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather was like my father, and he was a car guy. My uncle's a car guy, and I was always taking around the garage and this and that. But like back in Levittown, I was a car guy, and a lot of guys who knew me as I grew up, I was a car guy. So rest of soul, I was with a couple of supplement companies, and you give them the contacts, and they use you and they move on. And my grandmother was real sick at one time, and she just said, hey, look, you should get back into cars, like you used to do with your grandfather. And it clicked. And she's like, you're really good at what you do, and I had a plan. So my plan was search for a place. I came up with all my logos and everything first. We looked into the business licenses. We looked into everything, and I told a couple of guys, I'm gonna own the restoration shop, and they were like, yeah, okay. So my wife said to me, whatever you want to do, I'll be there with you. I'll do it with you.
Mm-hmm.
So we started 2015, and still in business, and it's growing, and we're busy, and we have 4 employees plus me and Gina.
Yep.
And we're doing really great. So like I said, from bodybuilding and wrestling, I was always driven. I had the determination and I had the desire, and that's what you have to have in life. It's, I don't know if it's God-given, but if somebody can teach you that, but it's just part of me, and I gotta say, I have a great wife, man. I mean, she's there with me 110%. I mean, I'm with her 24 hours a day, and a lot of guys go, I don't know how you can be with your wife 24 hours a day. I go, we have our ups and downs, but as you can see how we are, everybody calls us Doug and Carrie, from all the customers come in. You remind me of Doug and Carrie from, King of Queens. Yeah. and just being around them, like we feed off each other. And, we had so many people come in and say, you should have your own reality car TV show.
Definitely.
And we look at each other and we go, nah, because we have a lot of friends that do have those, out here in Vegas. And right. I was like, I don't want to be like those guys.
Yeah.
I just, I just don't like to be, out in that spotlight again, like I was in bodybuilding. You know what I mean? I want to be happy. I want to make a living. I want to have a nice business. And, I'll never change as a person who I was from day one, but you got to have some kind of dream in life after bodybuilding.
Yeah.
You really do. I mean, you need to have an education. You need to have to separate your life. You need to have, you can be a bodybuilder, but don't make it your career. Make it, an accomplishment, an achievement. You know, everybody has goals and dreams and desires, but you're going to be that 40 to 50-year-old person. And you look back, 30 years went back, and you live in a 1-bedroom apartment. You don't have a car. You're not married. You don't have any kids. You don't have anything but your trophies on a mantle.
And they catch dust.
Oh, yeah. That dust. Mine are in a garage collecting dust, man,
Well, you bring up something that I think most people miss, especially, when they're young. They think they're immortal. They think time's going to go on and they're just going to be okay. And all of a sudden they wake up and they're 50 years old. I think somebody is turning 58 Tuesday.
Yeah,
I had to say it.
I'll be 58 Tuesday, man. I can't believe it. And this body feels like 78 sometimes. So I've torn my right bicep twice. I've had 15 surgeries. So I tore the right one twice, the left one twice. I got pins and screws in my thumb. I hip replacements, a full left shoulder replacement. That means a reversal. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. It's a very tough surgery. I cried like a little baby the day after surgery. I didn't have a nerve block.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of collapsed a nerve in my neck. And when I woke up after anesthesia, I cried to myself to sleep 3 times. I passed out. And it's not easy, but I'm getting better now. It's 7 weeks. Tuesday will be 8 weeks. And I'm just making that grind. You know what I mean? Like how I am in the gym. I got to push through it,
Mm-hmm.
And eventually a year from now, I'll be back in the gym in shape, but I'm not going to be the same guy I used to be. I'm going to be a lot smarter than I used to be.
Yes.
But I have the same desires and goals, like everybody else.
Yeah. Well, you've been a big help, first of all, because a lot of what we've seen is we tend to abuse our bodies, destroy our bodies, and think our bodies are going to be okay in 20 years. And that catch up to us real quick.
Oh,
so
yeah, it does.
I think you've kind of given us not a preview, but at least a lesson to say, look, if you're going to do it smart, but also have plan B. Because, this is only going to last a certain time. There's a reason why the NFL only has a lifespan of 8 to 10 years as a career.
You have a certain window of opportunity.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes. And a lot of you that are watching are probably sitting in your window right now. So, whatever you can take, if you can get a nugget or two out of this, it's important to know that, if you're able to apply that, but when you're past where you're past and it's your time, pass that to somebody else. Because there's always going to be something up and coming that, a new or younger version of you're going to see in somebody. And that's the way that we make the world better. I'd love to tell you that, we do everything right. But I think that, as we move on, and especially in this industry and especially in every show, we see a lot of great things happen. And we also see things that are a mile away that we know, hey, that person, they're going to pay for that if they continue doing what they do. So, as GBO, I want to talk and just kind of finish on this note. Number one, I'm desperately excited to get into this thing because I've not seen anything this comprehensive or really this detailed ever. And I've had 6 coaches. And, some have been in-line or online, some have been in person, but I have never seen anything like this before. Let's talk about you and Bob, because, you and Bob go way back 32 years.
Hey, Bob Johnson, what's up, buddy? We know each other a long time, in and out of the industry, hanging out, training together. Listen, we've been to so many gyms, I guess, around the country. We train together, and I love Bob like a brother.
Yeah. And
when I heard Bob, started this organization up years and years, and what is it about working on like 4 years now?
We're going on 5 years.
Okay.
Going on 6. Yes, sir.
So probably about the same time I started my shop. So, Bob and I always kept in contact, through the years, and I even see him maybe 2-3 times a year. And I had I kept my eye on, what he was doing, of course, because it's your friend.
Right.
You want to see how well he's doing, how busy he is. And, his desires and ambitions and his goals are the same as mine, but in a different field.
Mhm.
And I miss this whole thing. And you know, he kind of knew that, you know, where I came from and how I was and who I was with, what I, you know, would I help him? And I said, Bob, anytime you need me, anytime you want anything from me, just ask me, you know, and that's how we are as friends. And then since we were out here, like you know, the last year, and, you know, I helped him judge, and I saw what he brought to the table. And it, it's like family, and everybody treats everybody like family. And I thought it was pretty cool. And he's got some really good, talented, good people that stand behind him, and I'm proud of him as a friend. So, like, he, you know, you guys asked me, hey, do I mind judging every once in a while? Not at all. You know what I mean? Because I don't mind passing down the knowledge that I've learned in the last 30 years to somebody who has the desire, who somebody has a lit torch that I had once. And those are the people that I'd like to help, you know, along the way, because they have that drive and that desire like I did when I was young.
Yep.
And you know, I'm a giver. You know, I don't ask of much of anybody, and anybody who knows me, you know, I never asked anything from anybody really. You know, I'm a giver. My wife's a giver, as you can see. And when you meet us, you feel like you know us forever.
Family.
And I might have 5,000 Facebook friends, but I'm going to tell you something. I probably know every single one of them in one point in my life personally.
Yep.
And they'll tell you that.
That's
you know?
important.
And you know, I have a good tree. You know, I have a good tree of friends. And like I said, I don't ask anybody or anything. Everybody says, "Hey, I'm coming to Vegas. I'm coming to see you." Or, you know, I run a shop now, so it's hard.
Yeah.
You know, it's very hard. You know, I'm there 6:30 in the morning. We leave at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I'm still working on the phone when I get home. You know, but and I try to take my Saturdays and Sundays off because we need downtime.
Definitely.
You know, I'm out taking my toys out driving. So, you know,
which you have a few, by the way, too. Not like a Chevelle or anything, or maybe a GTO here and there, or a Caddy, or
442.
Yeah, 442 Hearse, right?
But you know, you got to enjoy life sometimes. Like, you know, you have to, like I said, you know, you have to make a balance between the sport and your life, because you're going to end up with nothing. You really are. Just make it a dream and accomplishment, and you know, don't make it your whole life.
Yeah.
You know,
keep it a priority, but don't make it everything.
Correct.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think we're going to save the best for last, because, you know, some of you know that I've been out here since Monday. We have been touring sites all up and down the strip. If I can give you a little bit, and I wish we had more time. You know, there's so many different things that, you know, we've learned very valuable, even talking to Troy at shows, at his shop, on here. And I can't wait to get in the book, as I said, like 4 times already. We looked at the Luxor for the Vegas Global Championships and the Global Invitational, which will now be a 2-day event. We looked at the South Point. We looked at the Mandalay Bay. We looked at the park at MGM. We're looking at strip properties that, by the way, really there's no other organization running a bodybuilding show at an MGM property right now. And we really want to try and make a stamp, and really make a statement to give what the athletes are asking for, but give them a platform and a venue where they look forward to. And I did save the best for last. We did tour the Bellagio yesterday. And right now we're sitting in a penthouse suite at the Mirage, which just reopened yesterday. And today is the first day that they're having guests. So this is very special. It's very inaugural. And this is #1 right now on the list. So none of this would have happened. Absolutely none of it. None of the touring, none of the contacts wouldn't have happened without this guy. And, you know, he even said it. I remember clear as day when it happened. I'm sitting watching the show, The Royal Flush, and you know, Troy gets off the judging table and he goes, you want to get on the strip? You want the Bellagio? Let me make a call. He made a call right there to the VP of the MGM Resorts, Bellagio, Aria, Vidara, Delano. I mean, he's in charge of this whole thing. And I was shocked. I was like, you're kidding. Yeah, you're funny. We're probably going to be back over here next year. I get it. Where's the hidden camera, right? But, this is something that's been a dream. And, we talked about hobbies and we talked about passions. The passion is to bring everything we possibly can to this organization at this point, because we really are trending in the right direction. We're now in 30 plus countries. A lot of you know that we're in Africa on that continent right now in Cameroon. We've got the UK building like crazy. Chris Proctor is going nuts, ready to get out of quarantine to get on to Italy, to the Netherlands, to, the UK. And I know they finally opened the gyms back. So things are opening up. We have 3 shows in the US for the rest of the year right now. We have 2 in Houston and 1 in Sulphur, Louisiana, which is Chris Cruz's show. And then Todd will be kicking us off September 26th at the Legacy downtown, as you already know. We'll finish up with my show in Texas City, October 24th. And that's looking great. So some of you have asked me if tickets are still on sale. I don't want to really use this time to get into the show. I'll do a separate post for that. But yes, we have a block of 22 tickets left. And we also are still accepting competitors because we were able to increase our capacity according to ordinances that we found just recently. So things are looking up, and we plan to only get better. We are going to have some setbacks, but the great part about it is, I think Troy mentioned this, we have people who are really, really talented, and we have a good group of people around the top tier in this organization, and they're making things work when we run into challenges. And, we're extremely excited to have Troy help out here. He has been instrumental in bringing a show to Las Vegas. More importantly, now that we're going to have a very real presence in 3 states that we've really never had a presence in. We've dabbled, but now we're established with Scott and Lisa Ramsey as the directors of Nevada, and they will also be having their show in May. We're also looking at maybe upgrading a venue. I won't let too much out of the bag there, but they're right now working a show at Tanning Hair and Makeup. But we found out some really good developments just a few hours ago, and that will be breaking. We'll watch for their posts and their information as they work on that. But we're just extremely excited that we were able to do this and have fun doing it, by the way. And we just appreciate you guys tuning in, your support. And, we love your feedback. And I'm already seeing the comments scrolling that, you're like, okay, so how do I get that ultimate planner? We're going to give you that information. I promise you. And, I hope that it will help you as much as it helped him in the time and the energy and investment that he put into it. But, really, truly just a great time, Troy.
Yeah, I had a great time with you, Matt, this week. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you. And, we look forward to definitely this year as things open up again.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, fantastic that you stop by my shop. You always have, you welcome, you and Bob, the crew, whoever wants to come by. I always got something going on there. I have about 15 cars at the shop right now, so, what else can I say? Life is good.
I just can't wait to wear your hat. So I got a black hat, Bob Johnson, and you didn't. So Troy wanted to make sure and let you know that, but he'll send one too. So anyway, guys, thank you very much. We are going to resume back for our Zoom interviews next week, as we will be announcing the guests at the middle of the week as usual. And, Lisa and Scott Ramsey do our posters, as well as Gustavo Santiago in Puerto Rico. Got to give them mad props. I mean, they're much more creative than I think anybody will ever be. And they're able to get this information in a very timely manner. They spend extra time doing it. They volunteer their time. And we definitely appreciate them involved and all those who are involved in making this thing work. So until next week, we're going to go enjoy Vegas, maybe play a couple slots, go eat some dinner, and enjoy ourselves, because life is good, my friends. So until then, we will talk next week, same time, same place.